Sarah spent the weekend learning how to lie. Not the small lies she'd been accepting for years. Real lies. The kind that required planning and left no trail. My name is Harriet Sinclair. I'm 55 years old. And this is a story about a woman who followed every rule. Until she learned that rules don't protect you, they expose you. There are certain kinds of silence that settle into a marriage like dust. Not the comfortable quiet of two people who know each other, but the heavy, deliberate kind where you stop asking questions because the answers are always half-truths wrapped in irritation. Sarah Brennan had been living in that silence for almost 3 years. She was 41, a senior compliance officer at a pharmaceutical distribution company in Columbus, Ohio. The kind of person who color-coded her calendar and always read the terms and conditions. Her colleagues trusted her because she was thorough. Her husband Michael trusted her because she never asked too many questions about his work. That was the first mistake. They'd been married 9 years. No children. The timing was never right. First her career, then his, then the new house, then maybe they were too old, then maybe it didn't matter. He thought they were happy. On a Tuesday morning in late September, Sarah stood in their kitchen watching Michael button his shirt in the microwave's reflection. He was on his phone. Always on his phone now. "I'll be late tonight," he said without looking up. Vendor meeting ran into dinner. Again. End of quarter. You know how it is. He did know. But vendor meetings didn't usually require 3 nights a week and passwords changed on laptops and credit card statements sent to his office instead of home. She'd stopped asking 6 months ago. After he left, Sarah went to work and sat through a compliance review meeting. Her boss Dennis was scrolling his phone, half listening as she presented a 40-page report on a new supplier contract. "Everything checks out," she said. "But their parent company was flagged by the FDA 2 years ago for misbranding. I think we should request additional documentation." Dennis finally looked at her. "We've been trying to lock this down for 4 months. The FDA thing was resolved. Approve it. It could become our problem if..." "It won't. Approve it." Sarah approved the contract. She signed her name and told herself it was fine. That was the second mistake. That evening, Michael's car wasn't in the driveway. Sarah ate cold pasta standing at the counter, then opened her laptop to review files. She did this when she couldn't sleep, when the silence got too heavy. She opened the contract she'd approved that morning. Something caught her eye. An address for the supplier's registered agent. She'd seen it before. Somewhere else. She started pulling files. The same address appeared in 12 different contracts spanning 3 years. All suppliers her company worked with. All approved by Dennis. 12 suppliers. Same registered agent. Total value over 3 years. $41 million. Every single one had been flagged by the automated fraud detection system and manually overridden by Dennis Kowalski. When Michael came home smelling faintly of perfume that wasn't hers, Sarah said nothing. The next morning she went to work early. She printed the spreadsheet and locked it in her desk. At lunch she drove to a FedEx store and mailed copies to her sister's address. That night Michael said he had to go to Chicago for a conference. 4 days. After he left, Sarah opened his laptop. The password was still the same. He'd never thought she'd look. The credit card statements showed hotel rooms in cities he'd never mentioned. Jewelry purchases. Flowers sent to an address in Bexley. She drove to the address during lunch the next day. A condo building. Modern. Expensive. At 1:15 a woman came out. Late 30s. Blonde. Yoga mat and sunglasses. Amanda Graves. Marketing director at Michael's company. That night Sarah went through every file on her work computer. She built timelines. Tracked money. Found patterns. 3 of the suppliers had been audited by the FDA in the past 18 months. All cited for violations. Misbranding. Improper storage. Falsified records. All 3 were still under contract. Still being paid. This wasn't just fraud. This was patient safety. People getting compromised medication. And Sarah had been signing off on it for 3 years. Her phone buzzed. "Michael, landed safe. Love you." She deleted it. Then she opened a browser window and typed the number for the FDA's Office of Criminal Investigations. He stared at it for a long time. Then she closed the window. If she reported this, Dennis would go down. Maybe the executives. Maybe Michael. But Sarah would go down with them. Her signature was on those contracts. She was the compliance officer. She was supposed to catch this. No one would believe she'd been in the dark. She would lose everything. Her career, her reputation, her freedom. And Michael would lose nothing except her. Sarah sat in the dark and felt something shift inside her chest. Something hard and sharp. She'd spent her whole life following the rules, trusting the system, believing that honesty and diligence mattered. And where had it gotten her? Alone. Surrounded by lies. Complicit in crimes she hadn't even known she was committing. She thought about Amanda Graves in her white Mercedes. About Dennis 6 months from retirement. About everyone who'd looked at her and seen someone they could use. Someone who'd never fight back. Sarah closed her laptop. She wasn't going to report them. But she wasn't going to let them win either. She just needed to figure out how to burn it all down without burning herself. Sarah spent the weekend learning how to lie. Not the small lies she'd been accepting for years. Real lies. The kind that required planning and left no trail. She started with Michael's laptop. Sunday afternoon he called from Chicago. Voices in the background. A woman laughing. He said he was in the hotel lobby. The laugh didn't sound like a lobby. "Take your time," Sarah said. She copied everything from his laptop. Credit card statements. Emails to Amanda that were professional enough on the surface but time-stamped at 11 at night, 1 in the morning Saturday afternoons. She put it all on an encrypted thumb drive bought with cache at a Best Buy 40 minutes away. Then she did the same with her work files. Every contract. Every email with Dennis. Every override she'd authorized because she'd trusted someone above her had done the diligence. 9 hours. When she finished she had 2 complete records. One of Michael's betrayal. One of her own complicity. Insurance, she told herself. Monday morning she opened a safety deposit box at a bank she'd never used under her maiden name. She put the thumb drives inside with printed copies of the worst documents. That afternoon Dennis called her into his office. "Close the door," he said, hands in pockets looking out the window. "I wanted to talk about your career trajectory. 10 years in compliance. That's a long time in the same role. I like what I do. You're capable of more. There might be an opportunity in operations. More money. Better title. I could put your name forward." He smiled. "You've been a real team player, Sarah. That doesn't go unnoticed." Sarah understood. She'd been cooperative. She'd approved contracts without questions. Now he wanted to move her away from the contracts. Somewhere she couldn't see patterns. "That's very kind," she said. "I'll think about it." "Don't think too long." She went to the bathroom and locked herself in a stall until her hands stopped shaking. He was trying to get rid of her quietly, which meant he knew she'd seen something. She deleted the original spreadsheet from her computer. Then she emailed Dennis thanking him and saying she was interested in the operations role. She needed him to think she was still useful, still manageable. Michael came home Tuesday night. Kissed her forehead. Same hollow gesture. How was Chicago? Boring. Conference rooms and efficiency metrics. Sounds terrible. He nodded. Checked his phone. Sarah watched him and felt nothing. Just cold curiosity about how long he'd keep this up. The next morning she called in sick. She never called in sick. Then she drove to Amanda's condo building. She didn't know what she was going to do. He just needed to see. At 9:30 Amanda came out. Navy suit. Heels. Professional. Competent. Like someone who made good decisions. Sarah watched her drive away. Then Sarah walked to the building. A delivery driver held the door. She took the elevator to the 3rd floor. Unit 312. She knocked. No answer. She knew there wouldn't be. He tried the handle. Locked. She stood there staring at the numbers on the door. 3. 2. Then she left. In her car she started crying. Not sobbing. Just tears running down her face without sound. She went home and walked through the empty house room by room. Ended up in Michael's office. The 3rd bedroom they'd never turned into a nursery. His desk was neat. Organized. A framed photo from their wedding. Both of them smiling like they meant it. She put it face down. Then she opened the desk drawers. The bottom drawer was locked. In 10 years she'd never noticed. He got a screwdriver and broke it open. Inside was a checkbook for an account she'd never heard of. A passport she didn't know Michael had. And a manila folder. Bank statements. A credit union in Cleveland. Just Michael's name. The The balance was $473,000. Sarah sat on the floor. The statements showed deposits going back 3 years. 10,000, 20,000, 50,000. All wire transfers from companies she didn't recognize. She searched the company names on her phone. Most didn't exist. The ones that did had addresses matching the same registered agent from her company's fraudulent contracts. Michael was part of it. Her husband wasn't just cheating. He'd been stealing for years with the same people who'd used her to approve their contracts. She thought about Dennis's offer. About Michael's late nights. About how stupid she'd been. They'd used her. Put her name on contracts and let her take the liability while they stole millions and fucked their mistresses and planned retirements. And when it came out, because fraud this big always came out, Sarah would be holding the bag. The compliance officer who approved everything. The wife who should have known. She put everything back and closed the drawer. He called her sister. "Can I ask you something? If you knew something was going to destroy your life and you couldn't stop it, what would you do?" "Sarah, are you okay? Just answer." Karen sighed. "I'd try to control what I could. Figure out what to protect. And if I couldn't save anything, I'd make sure I wasn't the only one losing everything." "Yeah," Sarah said. "That's what I thought." That night Michael came home with wilted grocery store flowers. "For you." They ate dinner. Leftover chicken. Michael talked about work problems. Sarah listened and said nothing. After dinner she went to the guest room and wrote everything down. The suppliers. The contracts. The overrides. Dennis's role. The bank account. Michael's connection to companies that didn't exist. 12 pages. A complete record of a conspiracy she'd been living inside. She saved it to another thumb drive. The next morning she drove to a post office across the city. She bought a prepaid envelope and addressed it to the FDA's Office of Criminal Investigations. Put copies of everything inside. Then she stood at the mailbox for 10 minutes holding the envelope. This was the moment. If she mailed it, they'd investigate. Dennis would go to prison. Michael would go to prison. The fraud would stop. And Sarah would be destroyed. Her name was all over those contracts. She'd approved them. She'd been responsible. She'd lose her job, her reputation, probably her freedom. But at least the truth would be out. Sarah looked at the envelope. Then she walked back to her car and put it in the glove compartment. Not yet. She wasn't ready to burn. She needed to make sure when she did she took everyone else with her. He went to work. Approved contracts. Smiled at Dennis. And late that night, alone in the kitchen, she opened her laptop and started researching something new. How to disappear. How to move money without leaving trails. How to make sure when the world came down she had somewhere to land. She wasn't going to be a whistleblower. She wasn't going to be a victim. She was going to be something else. Sarah found the lawyer on a Thursday in a strip mall 40 miles outside Columbus. Richard Voss. Gray suit, discreet practice. She paid cash. "I need to understand how money moves in corporate fraud cases," she said. "For a novel." He looked at her for a long time. "You're not writing a novel." She didn't answer. "I can't help you commit a crime, but I can tell you how investigations work. How the government traces money. How they build cases." He talked for an hour. About wire transfers and shell companies. About how compliance officers were easy targets because their signatures were everywhere. "The person who reports it first usually gets the best deal," he said. "The protagonist realizes she's in trouble and gets ahead of it. What if the protagonist is too angry to take a deal? Then the protagonist goes to prison. That's how the story ends." That night Michael said he was going back to Chicago next week. Same conference. Sarah was cooking pasta. She watched steam rise and thought about how easy it would be to hurt him. Make him sick. Make him pay. He pushed the thought away. "You seem distant lately," Michael said. "I'm tired." He came up behind her and put his arms around her waist. "I love you." Sarah kept stirring. "I know." The next day Dennis called her in. His door was already closed. The operations position fell through. Budget constraints. "I appreciate you thinking of me. How are you feeling about the workload?" Sarah understood the real question. Had she noticed anything she shouldn't have? "Everything's fine." "Good. Loyalty matters in this company, Sarah. People who make waves, who second-guess decisions already made, they don't last." "I understand." That afternoon, Sarah accessed the company's payment records. Transaction details for the 12 suppliers. Wire transfers. Account numbers. She shouldn't have had access, but she still had old administrative credentials. She downloaded everything to another thumb drive. This wasn't insurance anymore. This was theft. If anyone checked the logs, they'd know. At home, she photographed Michael's bank statements. Then she built a map on her laptop. Money and people and connections. Dennis at the center. Lines to the suppliers. Lines to Michael's account. Lines to Amanda and the companies that didn't exist. When she finished, she had a document that would destroy everyone, including her. Saturday, she drove to her sister's house. They sat in the kitchen while Karen's daughter played with blocks. "If something happened to me, would you take care of some things?" Sarah asked. "What do you mean?" "There's an envelope. It came here. If anything happens, if I call you, I need you to open it and follow the instructions." "You're scaring me." "I'm fine. I just need someone I trust to have it." Karen's voice dropped. "Whatever you're planning, don't." "I'm not planning anything. You're a terrible liar." That night, Sarah found Michael packing for Chicago. "I thought you weren't leaving until Monday." They moved the first session up. "Will Amanda be there?" His hands stopped moving. "What?" "Amanda Graves. Will she be at the conference?" They stared at each other. She could see him calculating. "She might be there. It's a big conference." "Right." He left 2 hours later. Sarah closed the door and opened her laptop. She drafted an email to Dennis. "I've been reviewing some old contracts and noticed some irregularities. Nothing serious, but I wanted to discuss them with you privately before raising any flags. Do you have time Monday evening?" "Professional." Concerned. "The good employee." He sent it. He replied 10 minutes later. "Monday works. 7 p.m. at my office." Sunday she cleaned. Did laundry. Cooked food she didn't eat. Normal things. Monday morning she withdrew $5,000 in cash. Bought a recording device small enough to fit in her purse. That evening she sat in her car outside the office building. Dennis's light was on. She checked the recording device. Put it in her purse. Then she walked inside. The security guard waved her through. She took the elevator to the 4th floor. Dennis's door was open. "Sarah, come in." Closed the door. She sat. Put her purse down. The device was already running. So, irregularities. Sarah pulled out a folder with 3 contracts. The worst ones. He laid them on his desk. These suppliers were flagged by fraud detection. All manually overridden. All have FDA citations. All share the same registered agent. Dennis looked through them slowly. "And? I think someone should look into it." "Someone like who?" "Legal. Or an external auditor." He put the contracts down. "Sarah, how long have you worked here?" 10 years. "And have you ever known me to approve something that would put this company at risk?" "No. Because I don't. These contracts have been vetted at the highest levels. There's no story here." He smiled. "You think you've found something. You think you're going to be the hero. But that's not how this works. Your job is to process paperwork. When I tell you something is fine, you trust that. My job is to make sure we're following the law. The law is complicated. There's gray area. We understand it better than you do. What if there is a problem?" Dennis's smile disappeared. "Then you'd be very stupid to say anything. Because your name is on those contracts too. Your signature. Your approvals. If there was a problem, you'd be just as liable. Maybe more. So drop it. Drop it. Do your job. Don't bring this up again." "And if I don't?" He stood. "Then you'll find yourself in a very difficult position. People who make trouble don't last here. Given the current market, your age, the liability you've accumulated, you won't find another job easily." Sarah stood. "Is that a threat?" "It's reality. Now go home." She picked up her purse. Started for the door. Then turned back. "My husband is Michael Brennan. He works at MedSource Supply." Something flickered in Dennis's eyes. "He has a bank account with almost $500,000. Money from wire transfers. From companies that don't exist. Companies with the same registered agent as our suppliers." Silence. "I don't know what you're talking about," Dennis said. "Yes, you do. And I have copies of everything." Dennis walked around his desk slowly. What do you want? I want to know how deep this goes. Who else is involved? What happens now? What happens is you forget everything. Go home. Keep your mouth shut. Maybe you get to keep your life. Or I make a phone call and by tomorrow you're under investigation. Your signatures. Your complicity. They'll destroy you, Sarah. Take everything. They'll find out eventually. Fraud this big always comes out. Maybe. But by the time it does, I'll be retired. Your husband will have moved the money. And you'll be the one holding the bag. Sarah nodded. That's what I thought you'd say. She left. In her car she played back the recording. Every word was clear. Every threat. Every admission. She had what she needed. Now she just had to decide what to do with it. Sarah didn't go home. She drove to a hotel near the airport and paid cash for a room. She sat on the bed and listened to the recording 3 more times. Then she called her sister. Open the envelope, Sarah said. What? Sarah, it's 11 o'clock. Open it now. Please. She heard rustling. Paper tearing. Karen's breathing changed. Jesus Christ. Sarah, what is this? Instructions. Follow them exactly. Tomorrow morning. Not before. This is insane. You need to go to the police. The police won't help me. I'm already guilty, Karen. My name is on everything. Then get a lawyer. A real one. I had a lawyer. He told me I'm going to prison. Sarah's voice was flat. At least this way I choose how it happens. What are you going to do? What I should have done 3 weeks ago. She hung up before Karen could argue. Then she opened her laptop and attached the recording to an email. Added the contracts, the bank statements, the wire transfers, the map showing every connection, everything. She addressed it to the FDA's Office of Criminal Investigations, the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Columbus Dispatch, 3 television stations. Her finger hovered over send. Richard Voss's voice in her head. The protagonist goes to prison. She pressed send. Then she sent a second email. Just to Dennis. Subject line. Listen to the attachment. The recording. All of it. Every word he'd said in his office. She added one line. This went to federal investigators 10 minutes ago. You have until morning. She closed the laptop. Her phone started ringing immediately. Dennis. She let it go to voicemail. He called 4 more times. Then Michael called. Sarah stared at his name on the screen. Let it ring. A text came through. What did you do? Another. Sarah, answer your phone. Another. We can fix this. Just talk to me. She turned off her phone. At midnight she took a sleeping pill from her purse. She'd been carrying them for weeks. Just in case. He swallowed 2. Then she lay down on the hotel bed and waited for sleep. When she woke up, light was coming through the curtains. Her phone was still off. She turned it on. 43 missed calls. 62 texts. 3 voicemails from numbers she didn't recognize. 1 text from Karen. It's on the news. They're looking for you. Sarah turned on the television. Her company's building on the screen. News vans in the parking lot. A reporter talking about federal raids. About arrests. About a massive fraud scheme involving pharmaceutical suppliers. Dennis's face appeared. Being walked out in handcuffs. Then Michael's face. A photograph. A warrant issued for his arrest. Then her own face. Sarah Brennan, a senior compliance officer at the company, is also wanted for questioning. Authorities say she may have been involved in the scheme or may be a key witness. Her whereabouts are currently unknown. Sarah turned off the television. She showered, dressed, put on makeup, looked at herself in the mirror. She looked the same, ordinary, unremarkable. No one would look at her and see someone who'd destroyed a dozen lives in one night. She packed her things and left the hotel. Drove to a diner 3 towns over. Ordered coffee and eggs she couldn't eat. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Miss Brennan? This is Special Agent Torres with the FBI. We'd like to talk to you. Okay. Can you tell me where you are? Sarah looked out the window. Gray sky. Empty parking lot. The kind of day that felt like an ending. I'm coming in, she said. I'll be at the Columbus Field office in 2 hours. Ms. Brennan, we can send someone to pick you up. For your safety. I don't need to be picked up. I'm not running. She hung up. She drove slowly, took back roads, stopped once to buy cigarettes even though she didn't smoke. She sat in a gas station parking lot and lit one and coughed and threw the rest away. The FBI building was downtown. Modern. Glass and concrete. She parked in the visitor lot. Inside, she gave her name to the receptionist. Waited 15 minutes. A woman in a dark suit came out. "Miss Brennan? I'm Special Agent Torres. Thank you for coming in." They walked through hallways, into a small room. Table, chairs, camera in the corner. "Can I get you anything? Water? Coffee?" "No." Torres sat across from her. Opened a folder. "You've had a busy night." "Yes." "You sent evidence to multiple federal agencies. Evidence of a fraud scheme at your company. Evidence implicating your supervisor and your husband." "Yes." "Why now?" Sarah looked at her hands. "Because I was part of it. And I couldn't live with that anymore." "You approved the contracts." "I did." "Did you know they were fraudulent?" "Not at first. Not for 3 years. But I should have. That was my job." Torres pulled out documents. The contracts Sarah had signed. "Walk me through these." Sarah talked for 4 hours. He told them everything. About Dennis's pressure to approve contracts. About the overrides. About finding the patterns. About Michael's bank account. About the recording. She didn't cry. Didn't ask for mercy. Just laid it all out like she was giving a compliance report. When she finished, Torres leaned back. "You understand you could be charged as a co-conspirator?" "Yes." "You could go to prison?" "Yes." "Then why come in? Why not disappear?" Sarah was quiet for a long time. "Because I spent my whole life following rules. Trusting systems. And when I realized the system was broken, that I was part of what broke it, I had a choice. I could run and pretend I wasn't responsible. Or I could face what I'd done. Noble. Not noble. Just the only thing left that made sense." Torres closed the folder. "We'll want you to testify. Against your supervisor. Against your husband. Against the executives involved." "Okay. We can't promise immunity. But cooperation matters." "I know." They kept her for 6 more hours. More questions. More statements. Finally, they let her go with instructions not to leave the state. She walked out into the evening. The sky was dark. It had started to rain. Her phone had 17 new messages. She deleted them all except one from Karen. "I'm here when you're ready." Sarah stood in the rain and thought about going to her sister's house. About her niece playing with blocks. About the normal life she'd had 4 weeks ago. It felt like a different person's life. She got in her car and drove home. Police tape across the door. She ducked under it. The house was dark. Silent. Michael's office had been searched. Papers everywhere. Drawers open. She walked through the empty rooms one last time. Then she left. She drove to a cheap motel on the edge of the city. Paid for a week. Lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. Her phone rang. "Karen." "I saw the news," Karen said. "Are you okay?" "No." "Where are you?" "Somewhere safe." "Come here. Please." "Not yet." Sarah hung up. She closed her eyes. She thought about Dennis in handcuffs. About Michael running. About all the people who'd used her and were now facing consequences she'd delivered. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like burning. But at least they were all burning together. The trial would take months. Maybe years. She'd have to testify. Relive everything. Watch her life dissected in court. And at the end of it she might go to prison anyway. For the contracts she'd signed. For the complicity she couldn't deny. But she told the truth. Finally. Completely. That had to count for something. Sarah lay in the dark and waited for whatever came next. The trial lasted 8 months. Sarah testified for 3 days. She sat in the witness box and answered every question. About the contracts. About the overrides. About how long she'd known and what she'd done about it. Dennis's lawyer tried to paint her as the architect. The one who designed the fraud and blamed her boss when it unraveled. Michael's lawyer, when they finally caught him in Atlanta trying to board a flight to Costa Rica, called her a vindictive wife destroying her husband out of jealousy. The prosecutor called her a cooperating witness who'd exposed a $40 million fraud that endangered patient safety. Sarah didn't know which story was true anymore. Maybe all of them. Maybe none. The jury deliberated for 6 days. Dennis was convicted on 14 counts: fraud, conspiracy, racketeering. He'd be 73 when he got out if he lived that long. Michael was convicted on 9 counts. He got 12 years. 3 executives took plea deals. Amanda Graves was never charged. She claimed she didn't know about the fraud. Maybe that was true. Sarah sat in the courtroom and watched them sentenced and felt nothing. After the trial, the prosecutor offered her a deal: probation, community service, no prison time in exchange for her cooperation. "You were a victim too," he said. "You were manipulated by people you trusted." Sarah looked at him. "I signed those contracts. I approved them. For 3 years. You didn't know." "I should have." She refused the deal. Pleaded guilty to 3 counts of criminal negligence. The judge gave her 18 months. Karen came to every hearing. Brought photos of her daughter. Wrote letters about Sarah's character. Begged for leniency. She did the right thing in the end, Karen told the judge. She exposed them. She told the truth. The judge looked at Sarah for a long time. "Miss Brennan, you had a duty. To your company. To patients who relied on safe medication. You failed that duty. The fact that you eventually reported the crime doesn't erase the years you participated in it." Sarah nodded. "I know." She served 14 months. Got out early for good behavior. Karen picked her up outside the prison. They drove in silence for a while. "What now?" Karen asked. "I don't know." She couldn't work in compliance anymore. Couldn't work in healthcare. Her license was revoked. Her reputation destroyed. He got a job at a coffee shop. Minimum wage. Early morning shifts. She lived in a studio apartment with furniture from Goodwill. She walked to work. She didn't own a car anymore. Sometimes customers recognized her. From the news. From the trial. They'd stare and whisper, and she'd make their coffee and take their money and say nothing. Michael sent 1 letter from prison. She threw it away without opening it. Dennis died of a heart attack 2 years into his sentence. Sarah saw it on the news. Felt nothing. Amanda married a doctor. Sarah saw the wedding announcement in the paper. Still felt nothing. At night, alone in her apartment, Sarah sometimes thought about the person she'd been. The one who color-coded calendars and believed in rules. That person was gone. Dead as Dennis. Dead as her marriage. Dead as the career and the house and the life she'd built on trust that turned out to be worthless. But something else remained. Something harder. Something that understood the world differently now. She'd learned that systems protect themselves, not the people who believe in them. That loyalty runs one direction. That ordinary people can destroy lives without meaning to, just by not asking the right questions. And she'd learned that burning it all down doesn't make you a hero. It just makes you someone who has to live with the ashes. 5 years after the trial, Sarah sat in her apartment on a Friday night. No plans. No calls. Just silence. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. "Miss Brennan? This is Rachel Chen. I'm a reporter with ProPublica. I'm working on a story about corporate fraud and whistleblowers. I was hoping to interview you." Sarah was quiet. "I know you've refused interviews before," Rachel continued, "but I think your story is important. Not just what you exposed, but what it cost you. How the system treats people who tell the truth." "I wasn't a whistleblower," Sarah said. "I was complicit. You were both." Sarah looked around her small apartment. At the life she'd built from the wreckage. Small. Simple. Honest in a way her old life never was. "What would you want to know?" "Everything. How it happened. What you lost. Whether you'd do it differently." Would she? She'd lost her career. Her marriage. Her freedom for 14 months. Her reputation forever. But she'd stopped a fraud that endangered patients. She'd exposed corruption. She told the truth even when it destroyed her. "I don't know if I'd do it differently," Sarah said finally. "But I'd do it sooner. Before I signed my name so many times I couldn't separate myself from what they were doing." They talked for an hour. Sarah told her story one more time. Not the version the prosecutor wanted. Not the version the defense attorneys argued. Just what happened. When she hung up, Sarah sat in the dark and thought about Dennis's words in his office. "You're not a hero." He was right. Heroes didn't exist outside of stories. Real life was messy. More complicated. full of people who made terrible choices and had to live with them. Sarah had made terrible choices, and she'd made one good one, and she'd paid for all of them. That was the truth. Not justice. Not redemption. Just consequence. She turned off the light and went to bed. Outside the city hummed. Indifferent. Endless. Tomorrow she'd wake up and make coffee for strangers and go home to her empty apartment and do it all again the next day. It wasn't the life she'd planned. It wasn't the life she'd wanted. But it was the life she'd earned. And she'd learned to live with that.